So let's just start with this. Imagine you pour weeks, and I mean literally weeks, of intense, really focused creative work into a project. And the very first thing you hear, that immediate, unfiltered feedback from anonymous voices online, is that your work is lazy.
Right.
It brings up this really modern friction, doesn't it? Is this new technology, this generative tech, is it actually making creativity easier?
Or is it just giving small, independent creators the power to finally attempt the impossible?
Exactly. To visualize these incredibly detailed worlds that, historically would have required a multi-million-dollar studio budget.
That's the question, isn't it? It's really the defining question for artists and storytellers right now. It makes us look at the nature of the labor versus the nature of the tool itself.
And that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah, today we're doing a deep dive into that very question. We're going to use the new Kickstarter video for the Phillip Aisling series as our case study.
That visual doorway into the world.
The visual doorway, that's a perfect way to put it. We're going to unpack the human effort, the specific intention behind every single second of that video. We'll walk you through why each scene matters.
So our mission today is really targeted. We want to reveal exactly why creating a thematic, a narratively coherent and emotionally resonant video using these AI tools is, well, it's so much more challenging than the critics assume.
This is really a deep dive into modern creative labor.
But before we get into all that, the hard work, we have to start somewhere else.
We do. We have to just pause for a moment and express, profound gratitude.
Yeah.
The Dreams of Phillip Aisling Book 2 Kickstarter. It's already hit its funding goal. It was 100% funded almost right away.
Which is just incredible.
It's overwhelming. That kind of enthusiasm from the community, it just confirms that this story is resonating with people deeply.
And we can't thank you enough for that. But for anyone listening who's been meaning to jump in, we have to let you know.
Yes, this is important. There are just 2 days left.
2 days left to get those early bird rewards, the free shipping in the U.S. Now's the time, really. It's the crucial moment to get your pre-order in and be part of that early community.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this idea of creative courage. There's this old saying that creativity asks for vulnerability.
Yeah, always does.
Every time a storyteller puts a piece of their imagination out there, a chapter, a painting, a song, they're basically submitting it for judgment, right? To the whole world.
Absolutely. And that vulnerability, it gets magnified tenfold when you start using technology that's still so new, so actively debated.
Generative AI.
Exactly. When you release something that's visually powerful but made with these emerging tools, you're going to hit that friction.
Yeah.
You risk these critical responses from people who, they just fundamentally equate using technology with a lack of effort.
And we saw that vulnerability get exposed instantly. Yeah. When the video launched, the response was, overwhelmingly positive. The funded campaign shows that. But there were those few comments.
Lazy comments.
Called into work lazy. Yeah. And that's a harsh word. It feels like it comes from such a deep misunderstanding of what the actual process is here.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And that's the misconception we had to counter, the lazy idea.
Yeah.
The reality, the timeline is the best way to do that.
Tell us about that.
Well, this video, which distills the emotional journey of 2 entire books, it took weeks. Weeks of intense iteration, refining prompts, specific editing, just dedicated human labor. This wasn't, a button press that took a minute. It was sustained, directed effort.
Okay, but let's be blunt for a second. When you say weeks of iteration, how much of that is truly creative direction, the artistic choices, and how much is waiting for a computer to finish rendering or dealing with the tool's flaws?
That's a great question.
Where's the line between human directing and just brute force persistence?
It's a critical distinction, and it's exactly why lazy is so off the mark. The rendering time, yes, that's a technical time sink, but the iteration itself, that is always creative direction.
Always.
Always. You can't just type one long prompt and expect a 30-second video where the character looks the same, moves through 24 different settings, and has this precise emotional arc. It doesn't work that way.
The tool is built for something else, isn't it? It seems like it's optimized for novelty.
Precisely. It excels at generating these surprising, beautiful, but singular images, but achieving narrative coherence.
Making sure Philip looks like Philip in every shot.
Yes, or that the emotional tone shifts smoothly from awe to fear and then to determination. That requires constant, focused human intervention. The director has to manually fight the tool's natural tendency to drift, to decay into randomness.
So it's not a shortcut.
Not at all. And
Right.
That's the analogy we really want you to grasp. Think of directing AI. not as taking a shortcut, but as directing a really complex, sometimes very temperamental actor or film crew.
I like that, a temperamental actor.
You still need perfect timing, you need specific narrative alignment, you need incredibly detailed intent. If the AI gives you something that's close, but the emotion is wrong, say the metaphysician by the fire doesn't look wise, he just looks old. You don't just accept it.
You can.
You iterate, you reprompt, you refine the input, you tweak the elements around it until the final shot matches that singular vision from the book.
And the practical reality here at the end of the day is that small authors, indie creators, we just don't have Hollywood budgets.
We don't.
So historically, being able to show these detailed, fantastical scenes, that endless hallway you mentioned, or a red sports car flying through space, that was just, it was impossible. You couldn't visualize it affordably.
And these tools, what they do is they enable accessibility. They let creators give their readers a richer, more immersive experience. They create this powerful emotional entry point into the story.
The intent was never to cut corners on the story itself.
Of course not. The story has been in the works for almost 2 decades. The intent was always to build excitement, to give readers a visual invitation, a way to step inside the imagination that fuels the books.
It makes the impossible possible. It changes the experience from just telling you this scene is important to actually showing you the scene. And that strengthens the connection between the reader and the story immediately. It's like an act of validation for all the imaginative work that was already done.
So let's go a little deeper into the actual labor involved.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the technical stack and the process, because that really reinforces that this wasn't just, pushing a button.
Right. It's a multi-layered pipeline. It needs a skilled human hand at every stage to keep that narrative coherence.
It really is a stack of specialized tools, and each one requires its own skill, its own specific directed prompting. You have to start with the story, of course. You have to know the narrative inside and out, identify those 24 critical emotional beats you need to hit. Then you can even start the technical creation.
And that's where the weeks go.
That's where the weeks go. The core difficulty is directing the AI's output to match a very specific, already established narrative from the books. Generative tools are built for novelty, which is, it's the total opposite of narrative consistency.
Right.
Getting a character like Philip to look consistent across 24 different shots with different lighting, different environments, that just demands relentless focus.
So let's get specific on the tools. We know Kling.ai was used for the video generation. What were the challenges there with that specific tool?
Okay, so Kling.ai and other tools like it, they're really good at fluidity and motion. They give the scenes this very dreamy, smooth quality, which is perfect for this, but they notoriously struggle with character consistency, especially when you change the camera angle or the background.
So how do you fight that?
You have to use a really specific prompting technique for every single scene. You use reference images, you use incredibly detailed descriptive text to try and lock in the character's identity, his clothes, the environment. And if you miss that step for just one scene...
Philip changes his face.
Exactly. And the whole immersion, the whole narrative thread is just broken.
So for a 3-second clip of Philip running, the actual creative work behind that could be, 30 minutes of specialized prompting? And maybe 50 failed attempts that look almost right, but not quite.
Precisely. And that's just the visual part. Then you have 11 labs, which was used for the narration.
The voice generation.
Right. And even there, the direction is intense. You're not just generating a voice, you're directing a performance. You have to direct the cadence, the emotional tone, the pacing, and make sure it all matches the rhythm of the visuals.
Getting that harmony between the voice and the images is a whole other challenge. The voice needs to sound calm and full of wonder at the start, but then it has to shift when the Draiths appear.
And that's a human editing choice.
A human choice.
But the real, undeniable human heart of the project, where the weeks really get spent, is in the editing. In post-production, CapCut was used for that intensive human editing and sequencing. That's where the director comes in.
Cutting the shots, timing it to the frame.
Adjusting the timing. Applying color grading to shift the mood. Making sure the music swells at the exact moment of emotional climax. That's all human orchestration.
And that orchestration, the sequencing, the timing, that's what makes it a narrative and not just a cool slideshow of generated art.
Absolutely. One frame out of sync, one transition that feels jarring, and the entire illusion you've so carefully built just shatters. The tools give you the raw ingredients, but the human editor is the one who stitches them together with narrative precision. The imagination drives the tool.
And you mentioned that this whole process actually connects back to the philosophy within the books themselves.
It does in a fascinating way.
What's the parallel there?
The creation process really mirrors the foundational philosophy of the Aisling world. As the metaphysician taught Philip, awareness and intentionality are what matter. They're far more important than any raw abilities or tools.
So a dream, or in this case, a video.
It shapes nothing without clear intention guiding it. If you don't have that profound, focused intention, the tools, whether they're dream abilities or generative AI, they're only going to produce chaos or, fleeting novelty, visuals that just don't have any lasting meaning.
So the video isn't just a trailer for the series. In a way, it's an active demonstration of the series' core philosophy.
Exactly. It's proof that applied imagination requires discipline, clarity, and focus.
Okay, so let's pivot now and actually apply that lens of intentionality to the video itself. We want to do a bit of a guided tour.
A scene by scene.
Yeah, for the curious readers, for the parents who want context for what their kids are reading, for teachers, for librarians. Let's walk through this visual journey. We want you to see the deliberate effort behind every scene choice and understand that every second is rooted deep in the story.
The goal here is to show how these scenes really form the scaffolding of Philip's initial journey in Book 1. They're the key emotional anchors.
So we start with Scene 1. Philip looking into the camera. He senses the world is changing. Why start there with such a direct, vulnerable moment?
It's an immediate appeal to the younger reader. That's the moment where Philip feels his reality start to shift. It's that quiet internal feeling of adolescence, of growing awareness.
That sense that something big is about to happen.
Exactly. And from a technical standpoint, this was the shot where we had to establish Philip's features for the AI model. It was the foundational prompt to try and maintain consistency for the next 23 scenes. We needed to convey curiosity, but mixed with a little bit of apprehension.
Next up, Scene 2, the endless hallway of doors. That shot is huge, it's a little intimidating, it communicates scope instantly.
It's a visual metaphor for the dreamscape itself, which is the main setting. That endless space stretching out into the distance, it represents the infinite possibilities you find in dreams.
Which mirrors the choices you make in waking life.
It does. It immediately tells you the stakes here are philosophical, not just physical. The visual challenge was getting the AI to render a vanishing point that felt vast, but without losing all the architectural detail along the way.
Then we have Scene 3, Philip's 13th birthday dialogue. This grounds us. It brings us right to the start of Book 1.
It's the narrative anchor. You need that. It clearly marks the beginning of his journey, his awakening. It provides that crucial context. This is where an ordinary boy's life, his 13th year, takes an extraordinary turn. It's a moment of normal domestic life right before everything changes.
And then now we get that change. The first truly fantastical moment, Scene 4, the hallway flooding into fish ponds. It's such a sudden, dramatic transformation.
This is a critical anchor for the entire first book. This was the exact moment Philip first became lucid.
The moment he realized he was dreaming. And technically, that must have been a nightmare to create.
Oh, the difficulty was immense. You're generating water physics, the flooding, but it has to still look dreamlike. You have to maintain the architecture, make sure the fish look specific, all in one fluid transitioning shot. It's a perfect example of human intention battling the AI's love of just making random novel things.
Okay, moving to a key relationship. Scene 5, the metaphysician by the fire. This feels like an iconic core scene of awakening.
It is the foundational meeting. This is the moment Philip meets his mentor and begins his formal journey into understanding how the dreamscape works and why intentionality is so important. Everything in his training flows from this quiet, contemplative relationship.
And the visual intent.
To convey warmth, safety, and ancient wisdom. Through the lighting, the fire, and the mentor's very specific, distinctive look. It took so much prompting to keep that fire looking real but still atmospheric, and to maintain the dignity and serenity of the metaphysician, to stop the AI from, distorting his features.
Then we get this moment of pure whimsy. Scene 6, the giraffe flamingo plant.
Knuckles, yes. This scene is so important for the title, The Dreams of Phillip Aisling. This is authentic, unfiltered dream logic. It's magic that doesn't need a rational explanation, which is so key to the wonder of the series.
And it comes from a real place, right?
Critically, yes. These elements are pulled directly from actual dreams the author had, which gives the series this incredible authenticity. This specific, bizarre creature. It speaks directly to the whimsical, unexpected nature of the subconscious. It tells the reader, get ready for the illogical. Get ready for the weird.
Okay, so now we get to what feels like the central mystery of this world. Scene 7. The lime green tongue. This is from the Mexican carnival chapter. We see a vendor making an icy treat that stains Philip's tongue green in the dream.
Yes, and this is where the stakes of his awareness become tangible, physical. Wanted to show the beauty and color of that dream, the seaside carnival, but the focus is on that one tiny detail. Because the really compelling part is what happens next.
When he wakes up.
When he wakes up, his tongue is still green. And that just raises this huge philosophical question. How can a dream event change physical reality?
That phenomenon, which in the books the dream masters call dimensional drift.
Precisely. The dream effect persisting into waking life. Which leads us right into scene 8. Philip inspecting his green tongue in a mirror.
That shot is just a moment of profound curiosity and doubt and realization all at once.
It's the moment of acceptance. He realizes his dream life can and does affect his real life. And that pushes him toward deeper study, toward accepting this incredible journey he's on. That tiny visual detail, the green tongue, becomes this massive catalyst for the plot.
Then we start establishing allies. Scene 9, the Oracle's house with the cats. I know this is a fan-favorite setting from book 1.
It's vital. This is where we introduce key tools and allies. This is where Philip meets the Oracle, this wise, quirky character who gives him his numinous Nagua gun.
Which is basically a magical dream catcher.
Essentially, yes. A tool for focusing dream energy and detecting shifts in awareness. The setting itself needed to feel ancient and nurturing, but also a little mysterious. And of course, full of all those cats surrounding her.
And tied to that gift, we see scene 10, the prediction charm changing colors.
This is a crucial visual cue. It's a mechanism for testing dimensional drift. The charm changes color, and that shows that whatever Philip just dreamed is very likely to actually happen in the waking world.
So it moves it from just philosophical wonder to
active application.
Yeah.
It gives him a concrete way to verify the profound connection between his two realities.
And that leads us to the climax of the book 1 section, scene 11, Cynthia falling off the cruise ship. A moment of real high drama.
This was a critical dream premonition from the first book, and it directly impacted the plot in the waking world. Philip used that prediction charm from the Oracle to verify this was going to happen.
So if he could prevent it.
Right. It visually shows the stakes being raised and confirms that his journey, his awareness, it now has tangible, life-saving consequences for the people he loves. The technical challenge there was just rendering a dramatic scene at sea with a huge ship and a specific person falling without it all just dissolving into visual noise, which AI loves to do with complex action. So now, with that foundation from book 1 established, we signal a very clear shift. The scenes that follow are all exciting visual hints from the upcoming book 2.
They're designed to raise the stakes.
Exactly, to convey momentum, to offer a tantalizing glimpse, but without giving away any of the core plot.
So we're moving from here's how Philip learned the rules to here's how he applies them under pressure.
That's it, and we jump immediately into heightened danger with scene 12, Philip chased by Draiths through a castle.
We should probably give a little context on that term. What are Draiths?
Draiths are, well, they're key antagonists in the dreamscape. They're basically nightmare creatures, embodiments of fear and negativity that feed on the undirected energy of dreamers.
So this scene is about immediate danger.
Life or death danger, high action. The stakes are visibly raising. Philip isn't just an apprentice anymore. He's an active participant in descending this reality. Visually, the trick was designing creatures that were scary, but not, gratuitously so, and conveying that dark, complex architecture of a chase scene.
Then we shift from action to something more formal. Scene 13, Philip approaching the door of light.
This is a deeply symbolic threshold moment. He's moving toward a greater level of understanding. It signifies his impending meeting with the Elder Council of Dreamers.
Which suggests a new level of authority and responsibility for him.
Which leads directly into scene 14, the blue-skinned Dream Elder smiling.
That imagery, the blue skin, is such a powerful hint that there's more out there. Greater worlds, more advanced beings, other distinct dream species existing in the higher levels of the dreamscape.
He's moving into a realm of awareness far beyond his initial lessons.
But the adventure isn't all serious and existential, is it?
No, and that's why we have scene 15, Philip flying over a meadow.
This is just pure joy. It's freedom, it's the exhilaration of being lucid, it's the fantasy payoff everyone wants.
It is. It captures that feeling of boundless possibility, the physical fun of mastering dream flight. And it's a necessary contrast to the danger, to remind you that dream life is also about wonder.
And that sense of wild fun gets amplified in the next shot. Scene 16, a red sports car flying through the galaxy.
Yes. That image just speaks to the sheer chaotic fun of dream logic adventure. It strongly suggests these high-energy escapades with his best friend, Jack.
So even when the stakes are serious, there's still room for youthful imagination. The friendship is still at the core.
Absolutely. And then we introduce a new emotional thread with scene 17, the shy girl singing with books on her head.
This is a very specific, intriguing bit of foreshadowing for Book 2. It seems to emphasize themes of, curiosity, overcoming shyness?
Personal expression, for sure. The detail of the books on her head is intentional.
Then we have scene 18, sled dogs pulling Philip through the snow.
This one is all about wonder, dynamic movement, and the sheer momentum of the adventure. It immediately suggests a vast, maybe challenging new environment that Philip has to navigate.
And then we shift back to a more grounded, real-world setting. Scene 19, the cruise ship water park.
Identifying a core, tangible setting for Book 2 is crucial. It confirms that the challenges they face aren't just in the dreamscape. The real world continues to be the frame for their physical journey.
And we focus on his other best friend, Cynthia, in scene 20, Cynthia singing.
This is so vital. It highlights the real-world stakes, personal talent, and Cynthia's own character arc in Book 2. It shows that the story is rich with focus on all the characters' waking lives, not just Philip's dream journeys.
And we see that support structure with scene 21, Aunt Dee Dee and Philip supporting Cynthia.
This is the emotional heart of this series. It really confirms that the themes are deeply human. It's all about friendship, courage, and the absolute importance of family support no matter what the challenge is.
Whether it's stage fright or fighting drafts.
Exactly. And then scenes 22 and 23, with Cynthia singing again and the music swelling, that just completes the emotional arc of the sequence, driving toward this powerful, affirming climax of personal triumph.
Which leads perfectly to the final moment, scene 24, the book cover reveal.
It closes the loop, and it announces that this whole journey of increased stakes and emotional depth continues in Book 2. Every single scene, from that first moment of quiet curiosity to the emotional core of Cynthia's story, was meticulously chosen and directed to represent the depth of this series.
So after touring all 24 of those highly specific, narratively complex moments, I think we can confidently say it, AI didn't replace the creative spark here.
Not at all.
It didn't replace the labor or the intentionality. What it did was dramatically amplify the ability to communicate that labor visually.
And this is the central point. This is what debunks that easy button myth. We saw the tools, Clang.ai, 11 Labs, CapCut. Every single step required intensive human direction, timing, story alignment, and, critically, human judgment.
Knowing when something was just wrong.
Exactly. Knowing when an output was visually appealing but narratively wrong.
Let's just touch on that error rate again, because that's where the weeks of labor really are. If a critic who used the word lazy was tasked with making a video, this complex one, that had to align with 24 specific points from a story that's been developing for almost 2 decades,
they'd quickly discover that most of their time is spent not prompting, but correcting the tool.
It's an exercise in focused frustration.
It is. It's iteration, not automated ease. It actually forces the creator to be a much better editor and director than they ever had to be before. You have to have such profound clarity about what you need, the exact emotion, the exact framing, because the tool itself is fundamentally indiscriminate.
So the tools don't diminish artistic intent.
They just change the point of friction. They expand what's visually possible for small creators to show.
You know, it's fascinating historically, isn't it? How creativity always evolves with technology. Think about the skepticism that met early oil paints, or the camera, the electric guitar, digital painting. Every new tool was initially met with this resistance, this suggestion that it made the work easier or less authentic.
And then eventually the tool is just...
Yeah.
It's absorbed into the creative pipeline. It becomes a new means of expression for those who have the imagination to direct it.
The heart of the work is still human.
It has to be. The imagination, the story structure, the emotional investment. Your intentionality is what drives the tool, not the other way around. If the story isn't solid, if the character arcs aren't clear, if those 19 years of effort aren't there,
no amount of slick visuals can save it.
The video might look cool for a moment, but the story will fall flat because that intentional human labor is missing.
And we should just re-emphasize that commitment. The series started its life way back in 2007. It's going on nearly 2 decades. This video isn't some quick AI thing churned out over a weekend to chase a trend.
That sustained effort, that commitment to the characters and the world over so many years, that is the ultimate measure of creative authenticity. Real stories take years of sustained effort to breathe. The video is just a presentation layer for a deeply felt, authentic human story.
And that authenticity, I think, is the real reason the Kickstarter was so successful. People respond to heart. The community can recognize a genuine story, and they'll embrace modern tools when they're used with focused intent to amplify that story. The tool just shares the vision that was already there.
So let's connect all this back to you, the listener, and specifically to the parents, teachers, and librarians who care so much about fostering creative integrity and critical thinking, especially now in this new digital world.
Right. What's the message this project sends about creative work today, especially for those guiding young minds?
Well, for parents, I think the video is an important assurance that creativity is vibrantly alive. It shows that real artistic production needs intention. It needs sustained effort, even in our tech-heavy age. It's a real-world example that these digital tools, when used consciously, are extensions of human thought, not replacements for it.
And for teachers?
For teachers, the visuals and the story's concepts, like dimensional drift, like intentionality, they encourage curiosity and wonder and critical thinking about reality itself. When a student sees a concept like dimensional drift brought to life, it naturally encourages them to question their own perceived boundaries.
And for librarians who are curating these worlds for young readers?
For librarians, the book series itself is designed to challenge young readers without overwhelming them. It encourages them to explore these big, timeless themes: courage, awareness, self-knowledge, mastering your own imagination. The video, then, it's that perfect entry point. It's the visual invitation that sparks curiosity and gets them to dive into the story's deeper layers.
It's the window into the universe, as we said. It's the invitation. But the story itself, the heart, the character arcs, the 19 years of labor, that remains intensely human.
Which brings us all the way back to that first question that started this deep dive.
Is AI making creativity easier? And the answer is no. If anything, it's making the human requirements more complex. It demands a greater precision, more intense direction and editing, because the margin for error is just so wide.
But what AI is doing is making it visually possible for human imagination to share these complex worlds without needing a massive budget. It's empowering the independent creator to compete on a visual level that was, until now, reserved for Hollywood.
That's the real revolution here.
That accessibility, that amplification, the intentional human part, the 19 years, the story structure, the emotional arcs, the scene selection, the weeks directing the AI, that's what truly matters. And that's why the community showed up to fund this project. So as we wrap up this deep dive, would encourage you to just step back and consider how your own creative work, or even the media you consume, is shaped by the intentionality, that narrative precision behind the tools being used. The next time you see a piece of generated media, just take a moment. Ask yourself, was this just a prompt? Or was this directed and edited with weeks of focused human intent to tell one singular, authentic story?
It really changes how you see the labor involved, doesn't it? We'd love for you to reflect and engage with the community on this. Go watch the video again and then let us know. After hearing this breakdown, what specific scene surprised or intrigued you the most? Why did that moment stick with you? You can drop us a note on the episode page.
And just a final grateful reminder, there are only 2 days left to get your pre-order in for the Dreams of Phillip Aisling Book 2 through the Kickstarter.
And because the project is already fully funded, your pledge is absolutely guaranteed. Those early bird rewards and the free US shipping are still active right now, so please use the momentum and jump in before that deadline. You can find the link right there in the description.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into creativity, courage, and intentionality.
And thank you for helping bring imagination to life.